Hello, AP Euro. It's Monday, and it's April 27th, and we are so close to the AP exam. It's pretty exciting. It's on May 13th, so stick with us. This is the last period that we are responsible for. Get through this week, and then next week we'll be reviewing, and then you'll be done before you know it. So stay strong and stay confident and work hard, and you're almost there. Okay, so today I'm just going to do an overview of period 3. All right, so here's my piece of paper. Period 3, the dates are 1815 to 1914. 1815 to 1914. And so period 3 is basically the 19th century, and 1815. These are two different political moments. The Congress of Vienna, after the defeat of Napoleon in 1914, is the start of World War I. Okay, and so you can use these two to really help you think about what are the major issues that are happening during the time. Just think of the start of World War I. What are the long-term causes? And that's pretty much going to take you through this whole unit. You've got some major things that are going on during this time. Militarism, nationalism, or we should do MAIN. Alliances, MA, alliances. I, imperialism. Nationalism. These are the big isms that are sort of born during this time and culminate in the start of World War I. And the other major thing to think about during this time is the Industrial Revolution. It's the biggest change to happen economically in the history of the world, you could argue. And so industrialization happens, and as a result, with the Industrial Revolution, we know it starts in Great Britain. And then just think about how it spreads from across Europe, from the northwest of Great Britain, and then it gradually spreads east to Belgium, to France, to Prussia, and then by 1914 it's barely in Russia. Remember, because the Russians get decimated in World War I because they're not industrialized like the others. Okay, so the Industrial Revolution in Great Britain, we're going to cover that tomorrow. It goes through two different phases. Pretty much 1850 is one, sort of like a turning point for the Industrial Revolution. And then the second part is like the second Industrial Revolution, or more modernity and progress. So you've got industrialization. You also have the Congress of Vienna, and you have all these isms. For example, you have the conservatives, conservatism, and Metternich. And the Concert of Europe, people who restore the monarchs. And this goes through, it lasts until about 1848, when there are revolutions. Remember, when France sneezes, Europe catches a cold. And these revolutions are in 1830. That was liberty leading the people. And in 1848, you have other revolutions. 1830, right when Belgium becomes independent, when Greece becomes independent. 1848, in France, they overthrow the constitutional monarch, and they get Napoleon III. Let's see. And so that's one half of revolutions, and all these revolutions are sparked by nationalism. And you also have this artistic movement that's happening during this time, Romanticism, which we'll also go over. But these are the isms, the different intellectual ideas, political ideas, and economic ideas that are surging through this time period. As you have more industrialization, you have changes in those countries that are being industrialized. We have the rise of working class, where you have massive urbanization. And then you have the responses to the rise of the working class and urbanization. You have ideas like socialism and the extreme form of socialism, communism. You have people who are very upset about that. Also, you have the industrialists, and you've got liberalism and the ideas of Adam Smith, like laissez-faire economics, and that's part of capitalism. And so you've got all these strains running through this period. Another major date that we're going to see is in 1871, and that is, of course, the Franco-Prussian War. And the unification of Germany. And during this time period too, you also have the unification of Italy. And so these two countries are born out of this period of time. The other major event in 1850 is the Crimean War. Which is when the Congress of Vienna and the balance of power is broken. It's when Russia invades the Crimea south into the Ottoman Empire, and then other nations oppose it. And so you've got this war during that time. And all of this, so all these are overlapped on each other. And so you always think of it as there's industrialization that's going on throughout this time. There's also this rise of nationalism. There are these new classes of people who are being developed. There's urbanization. And then during the second period of the Industrial Revolution, you also have new inventions during this entire time, which is changing people's lives socially and economically and public health. And we'll go over that during the Industrial Revolution idea, but these are just sort of general things. And then finally, what we'll look at is imperialism. So outside of Europe, during this time, Europeans are dominating the parts of the world that they couldn't dominate before. So they've dominated the Americas, they've dominated the coasts of Africa and the coasts of Asia, but during this time they get into it and dominate it. And by 1914, I want you to think back to the map of imperialism, that map that you colored in. The Europeans have had the scramble and partition of Africa is complete by this point. Partition of Africa is complete. They control all of Africa. By this time, they control control of India has been established in the middle part of here. It's absolute by this time, and in Asia. And so by this time, Europeans have dominated much of the globe. You've got the rise of Germany and Italy, the Crimean War. So conservatism has been abolished by this time. Monarchs are being challenged in many parts of Europe. Nationalism is bringing countries together like Italy and Germany, but nationalism is also breaking apart empires. It's forcing the Austrian Empire to break apart. It's forcing the Ottoman Empire to start breaking apart. It's forcing Russia to start breaking apart. And all the while you have this rise of industrialization and new classes of people, new technology, and it's building toward this collision course, this mix of nationalism, imperialism, militarism, and then later the alliances, much of which Bismarck's alliances. Remember, he uses alliances in order to surround France, and then when those expire, France makes alliances with Russia, and you've got these systems of alliance. So no longer a balance of power. You start having more alliances during this time, and that is going to lead to a collision course for up to that time the most destructive war since the 30 Years' War, World War I. And so that's just in general what to be thinking about over the course of this time period.